Hey guys, welcome back to the Contented Plant. Today we are talking about the jade plant. I have this super cute little cutting that a friend gave me, so I'm gonna pot it up today, and while I'm potting it up, I'll go ahead and talk about the care and the basics of this plant. So let's get started. So I propagated this plant just in water. This was just a stem cutting. It's been in the water for probably 3 or 4 weeks. You can see it's got a really great root system on it. It's even growing a little tiny baby jade plant right off the side, and it's definitely ready to be put in soil. So to pot this plant, I'm going to use a mix of this cactus and succulent soil mix, and I'm also gonna add a little bit of perlite in there, probably about 25%, just because I like a lot of additional drainage, especially when you're talking about a plant like this. This jade plant is considered a beginner succulent plant, so it is in the succulent family. It will give you a little more leeway than a regular succulent as far as watering issues, but you still want to make sure it has a pot with plenty of drainage in it and a soil mix that allows the water to go through. And since I'm handling perlite, I am going to go ahead and put a dust mask on just to be safe. So this soil has a lot of dirt in it and a little bit of perlite, but I'm going to add some more perlite in here so that it has plenty of drainage. Okay, I'm just going to add it right on top and give it a mix with my hands. So I have this cute little pot that I'm going to be putting my cutting in. It does have a drainage hole, and it comes with this little wooden saucer so I don't make a mess all over my house. And I'm just going to fill that up with my soil mix. So I'm gonna make a little hole in the center with my fingers, take my cute little jade plant that has so many roots on it, and just plop it right in there. And it is all potted up. So since the jade plant is in the succulent family, you wanna make sure that it gets about 6 hours of bright daylight every single day. You can see that the leaves right now are this dark green color. This one's getting a little bit of a red tinge right on the top. And that's because where I was propagating it, it was getting about 7 hours of really bright direct sunlight every day. And if you put your jade plant in a spot that gets a lot of really bright sunlight, the tips of your leaves will start to tinge red. And if they get quite a bit of sunlight, the leaves can actually start to turn kind of a burnt yellow reddish color. So if you don't like that, just move your jade plant farther away from the light and it will maintain this really deep green color. So you can get away with your watering schedule being a little bit wonkier with a jade plant than with a regular succulent. Regular succulents, you overwater them and they're dead real fast. The jade plant does have a little more wiggle room. You do, however, want to make sure that you do a soil test before you water it, and that means you stick your finger an inch down. I have seen other people use like a wooden dowel, and if your finger comes out with a lot of dirt still stuck on it, that means that your plant does not need to be watered, so go ahead and skip the watering. If your soil is really dry, you stick your finger down, there's no moisture in there, and your pot is really light, then you're gonna wanna go ahead and give your jade plant some water. But you do want to be careful because it will rot if you continuously just soak that dirt in water. So one of the other reasons that this plant is really cool and also considered a beginner, it has water that it holds in these really big, thick leaves, which is kind of neat. So it makes it a little more drought resistant because it actually hangs on to water in the leaves. And if the leaves are looking a little withered and wrinkly, that's another good tell that your jade plant could use some water. So this plant will be okay at regular house temperatures. You don't need to keep it in a warmer spot or a colder spot. In the wintertime, I definitely wouldn't stick it next to a window that has a lot of cold drafts in it. It's not going to want to be freezing cold, but your regular house temperature will keep it happy. This plant will also grow up into kind of a tree shape. This stem here will turn brown, kind of like a little tree trunk. A lot of people make these into bonsais. They're really neat table centerpieces, and you can do quite a bit with them. The jade plants are also a little bit unique. In a lot of cultures, they're considered lucky. So people often will give these as housewarming gifts to give the new homeowners good luck in their new home. So that's kind of fun. So to propagate the jade plant, you can do it two ways. You can either take a stem cutting like you saw mine was in the beginning, or you can take a leaf and you literally would just kind of snap the leaf off of the stem, and the leaf can just sit right on top of some moist soil or sphagnum moss, and it will just grow roots all on its own. Now, if you did want to propagate your jade plant in soil, you could take a stem cutting and literally put the stem cutting directly into moist soil. However, you need to make sure that your stem sits at least overnight because it needs to callus and harden before you just stick it in the soil. Otherwise, you're opening your plant up to infection. Otherwise, a good thing to do would be to propagate it in water. They propagate really easily in water as well. Please let me know if you guys have any questions down below. I would love to hear if you have a jade plant and what your favorite things are about this plant. Otherwise, please like and subscribe, and we will see you next time at The Contented Plan. Bye-bye.